It is cut down day, although, I felt like we talked about this yesterday. We definitely talked about it last week. This 53-man roster, as you see it this afternoon, is not going to be what it ends up looking like. There's a whole lot of mechanisms in place to allow you to slide people through, get them to practice squad, everything like that. But there have already been some move-ins and shake-ins this morning. And I know Trayshawn Holden is somebody that's caught people's attention. But honestly, after that first preseason game, it felt like that was kind of his peak. And not to say he fell all the way off, but it felt like obviously certainly Flanoy and probably Brooks as well had surpassed him yet again.
And that's it's not much of a surprise.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how many surprises there are going to be today. Because
not a lot. That's what I think.
I think this team is pretty fine with what they have, and nobody that they brought in, maybe James Houston would be the only one that came in with no expectation and then gave more. So that's he might be the only one. Perrin Winfrey kind of does stand out as one of those people that you didn't really have much expectation for, but turned out very good. Would it be a surprise if Mozzie was cut?
Yes.
I think so too.
I would. Absolutely. I would be surprised.
I think there are a lot of people that kind of have this feeling about him, and they're like, no. But I think I would be surprised because that would tell me the Cowboys made a philosophical change in their approach to this whole thing.
I don't know if you count this person, since technically he was brought in as part of the draft class, the undrafted free agents. It's been trending this way for a while, but when you talk about expectations, Zion Childress making the roster, that feels like somebody who
he did.
Good for you for getting a spot where there was no spot for you.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those, and especially in the way that this secondary group has been. It's been up for grabs. They've basically been begging somebody to do something different in the secondary group. So whoever lands in that area, there might be some surprises there because we didn't really have. We kind of knew that at some point Diggs would be back. We kind of knew that Bland. Right. We kind of know that Ravel's going to have his spot at some point. The rest of it is kind of all right, coin flip. Just somebody prove it, please.
Now, Josh Kelly, Trayshawn Holden, John Stevens Jr., Tyler Neville. I think Tyler Neville's another person at the beginning of camp. Maybe some people were like, I could see a path for him to make it in there. Nick Broker, Denzel Daxon, Troy Pride, Lyle Collins was released. And then Christian Matthew is in the waived and injured category. We'll get a lot more news as the day goes along. 3 o'clock is the final cut. So hopefully you're listening to the Fan all day long. And I guarantee during G-Bag Nation, they'll have the final word and inside info for how the rest of the cuts went down.
Okay.
I have some more Cowboys questions that I hope matter to you on cut day. Now, this is a big swing. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, the Cowboys could be okay at cornerback?
Yeah. I mean, Kevin, did you just announce the Peyton Turner news?
Oh, no. See how?
They're placing Peyton Turner on injured reserve to return with broken ribs per sources. This is according to Todd Archer. He'd been dealing with the rib issue and became worse versus Atlanta.
And I want to be clear. I'm not disputing that injury whatsoever, but those injured reserve spots, like with him and Maffa, are an avenue to potentially hold on to some players that you thought, I don't know how we're going to make this work.
And so I guess that question is that good news for your boy?
I think it is.
So that's interesting.
I think it is.
Revisit your question because I had an answer. Oh, the surprise about the corner.
And just for James Houston, I just want to say, it's not a case of I can be like, we said James Houston. You look at him in practice, you look at him in the games, he seems like somebody who it's preseason, but has done the absolute best with the time he's been given.
On the can they cover, Bobby this morning was like, I don't see it. I don't think they're going to be able to cover anybody. And for most of the preseason, it felt like they were just like, all right, we're sitting them back about 8 yards and letting them take care of whatever's in front of them. Because I just got to see if these guys can physically play in this thing. They weren't, you didn't see much. You didn't see much of the guys who you think are going to be starting. I think that Diggs can cover, but he's had a couple injuries now. So is he going to be the Diggs that we knew that had was on his way to have 20 interceptions in a year? No, I don't think so. I think Bland is very talented and has the ability, but sometimes gets beat because he takes some risks. Like these are real things with both of those cornerbacks. How do they play within this system that Eberflus has for them? So I think it's going to be kind of I think they're going to be okay. But I think what's going to end up happening, Kevin, that really forces a lot of struggle is if they can't stop the run, then it's going to affect the pass.
Yeah.
And that's going to be their biggest problem. And that's been their biggest problem for quite some time now.
Because I guess, Alec, I'm also trying to convince myself maybe that for 1 week you can get by with Bland and Elam on the outside, and then you go, I still think Childress first in the nickel, but maybe it ends up being Hall, and then by week 2 you've got Diggs and Elam on the outside, and then you move Bland to the inside, and then you hope that Hall and Childress give you some depth, especially at that nickel spot. But this might just be like...
Is the nickel spot your biggest concern?
I don't think so. I'm actually... I'm more concerned on the outside just because, again, the transfer from preseason and training camp and rock on to the regular season where I'm like, man, I think Kyer Elam's looked good, but have I projected too much onto, not real football?
I think, and sorry, Alec, but the Kyer Elam thing definitely does have me in my mind going, yeah, he's going to be like Diggs out there. Like, I feel like those two are big physical corners that will be good. And so I've made this assumption that we're good outside.
Yeah.
And that trying to figure out our nickel place is kind of confusing to me.
See, and I think that's where I am with the overall picture.
But maybe you're right, though. Maybe I have put too much on, hey, he's playing against a bunch of nobodies.
Or have I put in my mind that the fact that I could figure out a competent starting lineup means we're going to be good? Like for the longest time, we're like, who the hell is going to play cornerback? So there's two different plans of who can play cornerback. That doesn't mean they're going to be good.
Yeah.
That just means I figured out a 3-person rotation that we could use. So, Alec, the question with all that being said is, could the Cowboys maybe, possibly, perhaps be okay at cornerback?
Yeah, I tweeted about it, and I'm still amazed at the turnaround that Trayvon Diggs has had. And I do think that's going to help change the perspective a little bit, even if it is a week 2 return, which is what I'm expecting.
I can see that.
If Kyer Elam looks the way he did in camp, which is asking a lot when you're talking about jerseys and helmets versus going against real competition in a game that matters. If he looks the same way, if he looks the part, then yes, I do feel a lot better, even in week 1 if you don't have Diggs available. I do think that it could be okay. I do think that it needs help, but I think that it could be okay. And that's assuming that those 3 that you named all stay healthy. So, and you're going to have times where they're going to need to come out and sub out for a play, but I do feel better with that starting 3 of Diggs, Bland, and Elam. I do feel better about some of those guys behind them getting rotational looks more so than we need you to go out there and play a full football game, 4 quarters of action. I do think that it could be okay.
All right.
I wanted to make a comment because Mingo and Turner are both on the IR. And you can only have 2 on the IR. Is that correct? My understanding. So Todd Archer's saying that with that being the case, Maffa can be on the 53-man roster for 1 day and then be moved to IR and still return this season, which he thinks is the plan.
The magic of the logistics of NFL rosters.
Could be the same for Kalen Carson. So... Like Kevin said, there's a lot of moving around and things like that we can do, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of it throughout today.
All right. So I want to stick with Diggs. I have 2 Diggs questions for you. And Alec, you just kind of referenced this, and I think we're all on the same page now. So first question, easier question. Do you believe Trayvon Diggs will play in at least one of the first 2 games?
I do. I think
Okay.
he'll play in the first game.
Oh, okay. And you said second game is kind of what you're thinking. I think that's where I am as well.
Yeah, I'm expecting that, and I'm hoping for week 1.
Is it possible the Cowboys, for a $500,000 fine, not fine,
Whoa.
not fine,
Okay.
lack of bonus payment, and all the talk about, well, we think he'd have been ready faster with our guys, have re-sparked the intensity in a potential I'll prove it to you Trayvon Diggs mode?
I think it's possible. I don't know how much of it's talk, but
Always a possibility.
because he's saying it right. He's saying
Yeah.
all the right things right now. Of you know what, I'm not worried about the money. I'm going to go prove it to everybody. Well, how much does the respect from the guys that play in this game matter to you? That really, when Troy said that, it stuck with me so much more because the money is something these guys play for.
Sure.
Well, when you have the money, then what? What are you playing for after that? More money? Not all the time. You're not always playing for that second contract. But it is okay, you know what? My whole life I've been better than that guy across from me, and nobody can tell me otherwise. And I'm just hoping that is what Diggs' mentality is you know what? I've done all these other things now. Now it's time to prove to other people that I'm the best at this. I think that can be the case for him. He just has to go out there and do it. But but the Cowboys, I think, are, as you asked, kind of created that.
Yeah.
Because if this money part hadn't been brought him into question, but I guess then wasn't Mike Leslie's whole look, is he even playing in the D's nuts situation? Like all the way all
I don't
that
recall that. I don't know what you're
you
talking
literally
about.
said D's nuts to Stephen Jones last year, and he laughed about it a little bit.
I don't recall that. No, I definitely do. Alec, is it possible that the Cowboys have created a reinvigorated, perhaps justification-seeking Trayvon Diggs?
Yeah, and Cory made reference to exactly what made me think my answer through is the whole Mike Leslie meltdown with Trayvon Diggs. And, Kevin, you did say
These nuts.
So it did happen at one point, and it's on the record. But that proved to me that he cares what other people think about him. He really does. He hears everything. He cares. Because he wouldn't have melted down in that way if he didn't. So I do think he hears the noise, whether it's from the front office speaking on this station against his rehab methods or the fan base maybe saying he's not as reliable, what have you. He hears that. He cares. He wants to show that he's still a really good corner. And I know that he's itching to get back on the field to prove people wrong. So I do think that there's going to be a sense of purpose coming back.
I know it is cut down day. I'm not trying to insinuate that this player would get cut whatsoever. He's on the roster. But my easy yet complex question to you, where are you at with Jaylen Tolbert?
If he actually had a reasonably good year last year under the circumstances of not having Dak around and being in the weird place they were. He had a good number of touchdowns, so he was a good target there. But I don't fear him as a third receiver.
Right.
He's not ultra fast. He doesn't catch everything. So there's this kind of, all right, man, what are you? You're on the roster. And I am the kind of person, now the Cowboys are not, that wants to turn things over. If you're not on the roster and kind of wowing me, then I want to find somebody that will. And I'm never wowed by him. And I thought, Kevin, whenever he was drafted, that I would be.
And that's one of the reasons this question crossed my mind is because, oh man, I know his first preseason game, but Trayshawn Holden looks really good. Oh, look at all the separation Ryan Flanoy has. Man, it sucks that Mingo got hurt because I was really waiting for him to do the things. George Pickens is going to be badass, and Jaylen Tolbert's on the team too. For the spot he occupies, it really feels like he just kind of he's on the roster as well.
And that being said, dude, with those two on the field and then him, he should just eat.
Agreed.
But that's the other thing, though. We haven't seen those two on the field and him. So how do we have a good understanding of that? And we got to keep him. We can't trade him. We can't cut him.
Hence the question. Alec, where are you at with Jaylen Tolbert?
I feel like it's like when you look at someone's LinkedIn page and it's so specific. It's just football player for the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I think. Like, I don't think positively. I don't think negatively. He just exists. And I think he's another, in my mind, he's a victim of the Cowboys roster building method where a lot of expectations get levied on guys that don't need those expectations placed upon them, especially at their draft slot. Same as Cory. I wanted to be wowed by him. I expected to be wowed by him, and he's just a player. He is a decent receiver. That's about it.